That's right, yeah, very nice.
Good evening. Welcome to the New Franklin February 2nd council meeting. We have 5 first readings tonight, 1 second reading, and 1 third reading. No pending legislation. Our first resolution is for community development. Mr. Petterman.
Open community development at 6 o'clock. Resolution 22R08. Resolution authorizing New Franklin to take all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council NOPEC 2022 Energized Community Grants. That's something we do every year. NOPEC does. I know Susan, so she's usually good at telling us what they took for, but it's for the recycling, the dry.
We do the shredding
yeah.
in the spring, and then we do some type of a lighting project in the fall. Comes out to about somewhere in the range of $20,000 total. But they require a resolution so that for their part to figure out.
So, does anyone have any questions on that? I see a reason not to pass that one tonight. May I continue? Let's go through them all. Resolution 22R12. Resolution awarding a bid to Kavanaugh Building Corporation for construction of the tennis/pickleball courts at Sizzler Complex, declaring an emergency. I suspect you have a few questions about that.
Well, I don't know, we have questions tonight, probably most of the discussion should probably happen during a regular council meeting. I don't care, I don't know whether you want to do on something like this, we have public hearing, we talk about it.
I can at least give a breakdown, and it's been shared to some degree. The bids did come in, and the lowest overall bid was Kavanaugh Building Corporation. We bid this in June. The bids were high, and when we bid it at that time, we bid basically the whole project, and the only alternate was the lighting. So basically, they gave us a price for everything but the lighting, and then they gave us a price for the lighting as well. And the lowest bid at that time, without the lighting, was $892,625, and there was an extra $80,000 for lighting. I mean, I only this much. I don't know how deep we should get into it now, but this I'll say: when we got when the bids came in this time from Kavanaugh. The Kavanaugh bid, and we broke out a whole lot more alternates to give ourselves some more discretion. Were there pieces that maybe we would do incrementally? Were there some things we could do ourselves? Were there some things that we just wouldn't do at all? And so we broke out a lot more alternates. And if you see the legislation and you see the bid sheet, we gave them there was a base price for basically construction of the grounds and the courts. Alternates E1 and E2 had to do with lighting. Alternate S1 had to do with sanitary sewer. There has to be a realignment. There's a package plant down there that the school has, and the line runs through where the tennis courts will be, and that has to be realigned. So there's an element for that. S2 was the sidewalk, stairs, railing, handicap ramp, etc. And then alternate P1 was the pickleball courts. One point I'd like to point out is that when we look at Kavanaugh's bid for everything but the lighting, it came in $68,000 less than the lowest bid that we received in June. So it does appear that we saved some money by rebidding at this point in time. The legislation that we presented to council would be to go forward on the base bid, the construction of the courts, to go forward and 2 of the alternates. Alternate S2, which is the sidewalk, the stairs, the railing, the handicap ramp. That's a summary of what that piece is. And then the pickleball courts as well. And those 3 components result in a total of $769,300. As an aside from my point of view, the lights are basically something that I don't know if we ever do. We certainly aren't thinking about doing them now, and I think there'd have to be a lot of discussion about that. You might want, oftentimes in these construction projects, you want to get the electric conduit in. But the thought is that, if we have to bear that expense later, if we decide to do lights, we can. Our city engineer, Kevin Noble, says we could also go overground, not necessarily underground, for that if we decided to do lights. But I don't know if we're ever going to need lights over there. We got some baseball people who like some lights on the baseball field, which in some sense makes a little bit more sense than on the tennis court. So for right now, we're not thinking about lights, at least from the administrative standpoint. That movement of the sanitary sewer is a $55,000 piece, and that would be the piece that we would do internally from the city. The clearing of the property, we have an agreement, tentative agreement with the company that would come in and do the clearing in exchange for the timber. And we talked to a couple other vendors, and they wanted not just the timber, they also wanted some money on top of it. So we can get the clearing done, the initial clearing done, without expense to ourselves in exchange for the cost of the timber. So that's part of what this proposal would include. The city's labor, the sanitary sewer, $55,000. That's the way it was bid by Kavanaugh, and Brian Kepler did a really nice job, and he's probably resting up for the next 2 days. I hope he is, because it's going to be madness, right? So he did an estimate of materials, really a solid estimate. We think the materials are going to be $16,620, and the labor, he figures 2 men for 2 weeks, and that would be 160 hours. The wage rate would come out to $4,168, and I'm going to estimate that about $7,000 once we add the benefits on top of that. This would be taking place, if it's approved, if it goes forward, sometime in late spring. And his feeling is that with press of business, etc., he can dedicate a couple guys to get this done at that point in time for roughly in the range of about $23,000, $24,000 instead of the $55,000 that Kavanaugh would have requested. So those are the pieces. The contract cost with Kavanaugh, as set forth in the resolution, $769,300. We would, in terms of funding this, we would initially use $150,000 from our current parks budget. And again, the parks money, when the charter was approved, 5% of the income tax is required to go to Parks and Recreation. And that's been in place since 2006. I think it's fair to say that money's been well spent, and it's been spent primarily on youth athletic fields, which is a beautiful thing. And I think, I don't want to get, again, too far afield, but when we think about some of the problems we don't have in other communities, we keep these kids busy. They've got a lot nicer fields to play on than most of us who we're here before the city. And the fields are in good shape from the standpoint of Lockhart and what we have right now at Sisler. The soccer fields, etc. We spend a lot of money on, done a lot with them. They're in a good position. We have been setting aside money in the Parks Fund. Initially, there's been talk about trying to do a pavilion at Sisler. And so we started to set aside money towards that. We applied for a grant a couple of years ago. We didn't get the grant, but we didn't spend the money, and we continue to set aside money. And the Parks Commission eventually, when the interest in the tennis courts was presented, determined that it would be more in the city's interest to proceed with tennis courts than a pavilion at Sisler. Now, separate and apart from this, they're still looking at a potential pavilion over there, but a much more modest one than had been proposed, a couple $100,000 one a couple years ago. So those funds have been set aside, and as a result, I think of, I could say fairly of careful planning, we ended the year with a carryover in that Parks Fund of $219,702. We can dedicate, if our plan would be to dedicate $150,000 of that towards the courts, that would leave a $70,000 carryover for this year. We would intend to, the balance of the funding, And then we got the $53,000 ODNR grant. And that leaves a balance of funding for the courts and for the pickleball of $566,300. And Brian, I'll help you with all these numbers when we're all done.
So far, so
I know I'm shooting a lot at you, but I just want to get as much information out as I can, and I think some of this stuff's been shared already. All right, so the $566,300, at one point, we looked at financing this, and we find, they wanted like 4% interest, and it would, we'd burn up a lot of money. Again, I would say this isn't like this, but I think we've been careful economically, and we're in a good position economically in terms of the city having funds that we can self-finance this. We can fund this ourselves. We can use money from the general fund to cover the $566,000, and then replenish the general fund from the parks fund. If we did it over a 7-year, at $75,000 a year, we'd have it covered in about 7.5 years. We've worked hard at trying to pinpoint exactly what our park expenses will be going forward. I estimated for council somewhere between $50,000 and $65,000 a year. We do not have, one of the reasons we're able to do this is because of what we did a year ago with the Tudor House. And we brought in a management agreement, and the managers now are handling the maintenance costs at the Tudor House. So we had some long-term plans we were going to do at the Tudor House. We don't have to do those anymore. The management company's doing those. It freed up an awful lot of money for parks. And the feeling and the belief is this, that we'll have anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 in addition each year towards parks projects. Now that's already assuming we're going to spend 50 or 60 on our existing parks to keep the ball fields up and general maintenance, etc. So it's a very doable project, and at the end of the day, it will all have been financed with parks money that can only be spent for parks capital improvement. So that's the gist of the resolution. Would be to accept Kavanaugh's bid and to accept the base bid, and then alternates S2 and alternate P1 for that total amount of $769,300. And the final thing I want to add on that before I forget, I've had conversations with the Manchester schools, and we have a tentative agreement, we just haven't reduced it to writing, that they would commit, and they have to get it approved by the board. So I don't want to speak for them, but they believe they will be able to do that, get that approved. I'll talk to the superintendent to commit $2,500 a year for maintenance of the courts. An amount not to exceed that. We don't expect the first few years we're going to need that. And we've been advised as far as surface that maybe $1,000 a year, but I asked them to commit to a max of $2,500 a year for maintenance, and they immediately thought that was a good idea from their perspective too. So assuming this goes forward, we'll reduce that to writing with the schools. So that's an awful lot. I hope it's helpful, and that's what I got. And I certainly, so I think you should pass it tonight. No, of course. I will say this, Brian. Clearly, I would expect you to go 3 readings on this. I did fashion it as an emergency from this standpoint. If you go 3 readings, you go to March the 2nd. The bids are good for 60 days. That takes us to March 26th. It would be, helpful at that. If we passed it March 2nd and it wasn't an emergency, it wouldn't be effective until April 2nd. It would be on the bid time. So that's what the timing's all about. But we put it together so that there'd be time for 3 readings on this.
I just have a quick question, 2 pieces of information. One, did the schools, that $2,500, will that go toward tennis or pickleball? Is that any
The facility itself.
at the facility?
Yeah, the facility itself. And when my conversation with the superintendent was, if it's something that we can do ourselves, if a fence needs netted or something like that, we'll do it. But if we have to have a contractor, we have to have materials, they pay the first $2,500.
Okay. The other thing, this got me a little confused when I started looking at these funds. You said parks capital, but that $150,000, 5% is for all parks. That's mowing, upkeep.
Yeah, it says,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that's clear, that's all.
The way it's phrased is for capital, and then if, and then beyond that, it can be used for parks purposes, but it's parks purposes, period.
Not just park.
Yeah, mowing, seeding, et cetera.
Couple questions on the, a few different topics here. One, I know we've got a company basically managing the Tudor House now. All the utilities and stuff, is that still in the city's name, or is the management company handling that?
The bulk of the utilities, like for the house, et cetera, the management companies pay those.
Okay.
We've got some lights outside, some security lights that we pay for.
Okay. The bid that was in June for the pickleball tennis courts, was that for 4 pickleball courts, or was that for 8 pickleball courts in the bid?
No, exactly what we had
Okay.
here.
And then the last, just, I guess it's a concern in talking to, we've talked to a lot of people lately about this. When I'd asked about the tennis courts, and there's going to be 6 tennis courts, I'd asked about during, let's just say hypothetically, it's a day in May when the school's out there playing. And I'd ask about a resident, if they were to show up, if they were to play, and you said, well, they'd probably be playing in the evening. Well, I would think retired people will be there through the day. So is there a way that we can have a court or two designated so it's always there for the residents since they're the ones paying for it?
We'd have to look at that down the line, I would say. My understanding is that when they have their meetings, et cetera, they need 6 courts. Yeah, I keep hearing 5, but they say 6. They got an awful lot of people, so I don't know whether it's 5, 6. I don't, I'm open to all that. I don't want a court sitting empty. Let's put it that way. But I mean, if they're there and they have a match or whatever, I want them to have the use of the court.
Anyone else?
No.
I'm gonna open it up.
At this point, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. I'm gonna open it up to anybody who has a question, wants to bring something up.
And just so everybody understands, the people that haven't been to meetings in a while, this is a committee meeting. So this is the meeting before the meeting. Once we get through all the committee meetings, then we call the actual meeting to order. That's when we have an official, anyone from the public that wants to make comment. If you look at the agenda, we're not even into that stuff yet. This is all just committee talking about it at a time. So it's a little bit, not a little, it's a lot more informal.
I have a Mark Sedlak, 5497 Grove. Just one question. The parks budget that we're looking to take the money from this year and then repay over 7.5 years, what's the annual revenue to that budget?
It's approximately $150,000.
Thank you.
What exactly would be the timeline then on the final decision? You said this is kind of like informal, then it goes through a couple other steps, so.
That's just tonight. I'm sorry, and it's Andy's committee.
Yeah, the decision, so, I don't believe we'll be making any decisions tonight. We're gonna have 3 more readings, or 2 more readings.
That's what I meant, so what's the timing for the other meetings
So the next two more weeks.
in the next 2 weeks?
The first and third Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
So our next 2 meetings, we'll have a reading again, and that gives opportunity for you to go back, talk to your neighbors, and bring people in and have a discussion.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The prices that you were giving on the bids, is there any hope for any more, what do you call it?
Negotiation.
Yeah, the donations or the,
Oh, grants?
grants, yes, that's what.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. On the bad news side, we are not getting any federal money. We knew that was a long shot. I just got something on that. Yesterday or today. From Sherrod Brown's office that the request for the pickleball courts, tennis courts, did not make it into the final appropriations bill. So I understand there's a lot of things that didn't make it into the final appropriations bill, but we didn't make it into there. We are applying for, there's a $35,000 grant from USTA, United States Tennis Association. They had suspended those for a while because of COVID. They've reinitiated them, and I've already talked to our grant people. We're going to submit the grant application for that. That $35,000 is the max that we're eligible for, given the courts that we're trying to construct. That one we think we have a real good shot at. And then we're going to go back to ARPA, the retirement group that I've always been too prideful to join. Who is it?
AARP.
AARP. Anyway, they have grants for community, and we asked them for a larger grant to get started, and we were declined. But we did some more digging, and we looked at what their average grants are, and their average grants are in the range of $11,000. And so we're going to reapply with them for this calendar year as well. So I think we got a decent shot for the 35,000, and we're going after 11,000 there as well.
Was there some COVID stimulus money was given to New Franklin? Is there any of that to spend on this?
I don't believe that this is
What did they?
a qualification, or it doesn't qualify for.
Yeah, in 2021, we were authorized to use that for the payroll replacement. The ARPA, which I already used that term, those funds, we have about $750,000 this year. Well, we received it last June. We'll get about another $750,000 this year. The intention is to use that for, well, at least this year for paving primarily. Paving for more to enhance the paving project. As opposed, and the idea would be again it's sort of a left pocket, right pocket, but ultimately every nickel comes from the parks. And so we use those funds for general fund purposes, but again, it's, in a sense, it's left pocket, right pocket. But the short, I gave you a long answer. The short answer is I think at least this year the vast majority of that we're going to use for paving.
It seems like there's not going to be enough money to pay back to the general fund, to me, plus keeping the parks and stuff all up with the amount of money that you're designated for.
Well, when we've got, with the parks that we have, and a lot of it has to do with the work we've done already on the parks. So, Lockhart Fields has been conditioned. It's got a nice pavilion down there. We expanded the parking recently. They don't really have any major projects that they're in need of down there. Sisler, the same thing. We had drainage issues. We took care of drainage on the baseball fields. We took care of drainage on the soccer fields. We installed a concrete walkway there. We've got 3 ball fields with nice dugouts, nice fencing, etc. It's really just a matter of keeping those up. The dirt each year and the seeding and etc. But we're allocating. I mean, those are the major park expenses that we have right now. We're allocating probably in the range. I expect it to be in the range of $55,000 that we're going to spend on that. So that's separate and apart, and then there's an extra 20 that floats around that we could use if we need it, and still leave $75,000 to service the debt. And that's an arbitrary number, the $75,000. Quite frankly, I mean, I'd like to see it paid back as soon as possible. But on the other hand, there's no interest. I think we're going to be timely to try to get it done. But certainly, if something presented itself, some form of an emergency at the park side, that hey, listen, we need 30 or 40 grand. Well, in that given year, council may decide to just pay 35 or 40 back on it, towards the capital, because it's it's not increasing. So there's plenty of buffer in there.
Any chance to get any naming rights or advertising there to bring in some additional money for the lighting and such?
Not a bad thought. We'll consider that. Sure.
Are you volunteering?
Yes.
Jeff knows where people.
Joe Shopster, Low Trees. So the lumber that you have over there, you said that you can get it done for free. Nothing in the world is free. And with all good intentions, but heaven's paved that way with good intentions. I'm in the tree business, and I do it in Hawaii. And I like lumber, I like veneer. There's a lot of money on the table there. And for somebody to do it for free and clear cut it, stump it, and remove all the material, it's a lot of jack to put out for something free. So what do you have in there as lumber or what that is? What's the value of your timber? Do you have a board foot?
Brian had an idea on it. I can't give it to you. I don't have it
Is there
I
a
can't
way
tell
to
you
get it? Can I
today.
help you
Somebody
get it?
took an idea with it. We're open to.
Just need one of these Amish calculators.
No, they looked at it. I mean, and the fellows who came in, but this was the only group.
Who
And the
was it?
stumps, we're leaving the stumps in.
For what?
I'd have to go in there. I don't have the name right here.
90% of what happens here is they're just gonna come in and cut it and run.
We're not gonna let that happen.
It happens. The gentleman that taught me how to do lumber that lives on Capitol, I just watched it happen to Gene Witt. A customer on Nimisula with a cactus tree, I was able to give him $1,800 after he hired me to do the trees. I mean, there's a value here that I think is just being thrown away. Shade too, if you keep the trees. Have you guys ever thought of a tennis court with shade?
We've had some discussion about it.
I mean, it's not that hard of an upkeep. If you look at different cities, there's different metropolitans, Chicago, Philly, they make a better feel, is what I'm at. If you want to bring people here, and I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But, instead of having a doodle, you can, paint the Mona Lisa for them. That's what I'm, and it's a lot of expenses.
I'd be happy to
I'd
talk with you.
curious.
I'd be happy to talk with you and sit down with you. Whatever's most practical. We're not going to be careless about it. And that's easy to say that, but really, I think we got a pretty decent track record so far that we haven't been careless about things. And
It's not that I'm calling you careless.
No, I
or
get
anything. I've watched the sheets get pulled over people's eyes a million times. I'm in the tree business.
I'd be more than happy to have a longer
Yeah, I'd like
conversation with you.
Right on.
I mean, of course, we intentionally didn't do anything with it until we know what's going to happen. So,
There's a lot of value there.
One other question. So from the discussion we've had, the numbers that we put out here, and a tentative repayment from the Parks Fund back to the general fund, that if it's decided that the city's going to do this, if the city decides to do this, that means there won't be any other capital improvements to any of the parks for 7.5 years. That's what I'm hearing, because if you're talking about a $70,000 to $80,000 a year maintenance budget and small projects, little things that might have to happen, and you want to pay this back in 7.5 years, that means you don't have any money to do anything else.
well, we're starting with $70,000 buffer. All right. So we'll have a $70,000. We've got $220,000 in there right now. So we'll have 70 before we start the year. All right.
Okay, but you said.
And then we bring in 150, and if we decide to spend 75, if we decide to service it this calendar year, then there's 75 left. If we have 5,500 in expense, 55,000, when we say no capital improvements, and again,
Well, but the number.
we'll spend 55,000 a year on the parks.
Well, the number
Okay.
went, excuse me, the
No, go
number
ahead.
that you
And it was
stated
still got
just a minute ago,
20,000
I wrote it down,
Go ahead.
was that it was $50,000 to $65,000 a year in the maintenance budget.
Okay.
And then that got buffered up to $50,000 to $70,000, and then.
No.
And then
Let me
there
back
was
up.
like a
All right, come on,
$20,000.
Mark, work with me. I said 50 to 65, I'll live with that. I don't want to get to 70, I never said 70.
All right. But then the number went up to 70.
When?
I've got it written down here.
No.
At some
The
point-
70 is what we have, that's our current carryover after we've got 220 right now. And we're going to spend 150. And we're going to start the year with 70,000.
I understand that.
Okay.
But the number 50 to 65 changed to 50 to 70 at some point during the discussion.
Well, I'm changing it back,
And
if
then-
you feel that way.
So that,
Okay.
so that then
It's
left
50 to
about
65.
approximately 80 left over every year that could be used to service this debt, which works out to about 7.5 years to pay back $566,300.
That's what I said. I said 7.5.
Okay, so, like I said, if that's what you're gonna spend, then that means you have a maximum of $70,000 in the parks budget per year to cover maintenance and other minor things that might come up.
Okay.
So, and you said the maintenance budget is 50 to 65, so if 65 is the maintenance budget, and you got 70, that means, you might have something break and you gotta spend $5,000 to fix it. Where are you gonna get extra money to do any other big capital projects?
Well-
You're not.
At this point in time, we really don't have any big capital projects on the horizon.
I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And I will tell you too that that we're not going to stop looking for grants. So, you know, the pavilion, we're looking now at trying to do this, you know, modest, but an effective pavilion over there in the range of $70,000. So once we have that pinned down, we're gonna go out for grant money on that. And we think, you know, we'll be more successful with that number than the, I won't say it was a Taj Mahal, but it was a pretty nice $260,000 pavilion. So we're gonna keep chasing grant money too.
Okay. So we're gonna take time. I do wanna add that, however we go on this, that, I'm gonna throw a wild card out there and just say we spend another $172,000 and do it all. If we're gonna do it. We have the money, we know we have the money. It's not about that. It's not about, it's about how we're spending it and how we're gonna get to those fields. But again, not saying how I feel about it either way, but 172 is almost a drop in the bucket at that point. We might as well just do it all, because at what point is that ever gonna get done?
The light,
Not even the lights, the sewer, at what point are you just gonna?
we're gonna do the sewer,
Say, no,
ourselves.
I took that off there. So it's a 140,000, then 32,000 for the conduit. Right, so, yeah, the lots, 172,000. If we go aerial, it's gonna be a lot cheaper, right?
I don't think we would ever want lights. I don't think the neighborhood would want lights. I think,
How about, you know, in the summertime?
that's okay.
No,
It's still
I know where you're going.
In the summertime.
My boys play tennis and
hot,
they do have
A lot of people play.
lights in the,
It's okay.
but all I'm
Also lights
saying,
until
again, not forward and whatever, is that just from a standpoint of doing an addition on a house or building a house, if you don't go for it,
If this would have started at that, if this started, it was gonna cost the city $450,000 to $500,000. And now here we are at $792.
I took a risk, I threw it out there.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with you, and I think the lights, would be used, minimally. You know, in the summertime, you mentioned about people play in the evening, well, it's light until 9:30, so you're probably not gonna be using the lights after that. And then, in the fall, would probably be about the only time the lights would be used. And you're still gonna have nice weather, but it's gonna get dark about 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So the weather isn't dark as the weather, it's nice still, people will still wanna play up until about 9 o'clock possibly. So I can see where the lights could, be an advantage to have, for those early spring days and those fall days. And if the, tennis has tournaments, I don't know how long they last, how late into the evening they last, but if it's a cloudy, dark cloudy day, the lights could come in handy. The lights could be set on a timer to go off at a specific time, whatever time that might be, so they're not on all night, they're not on till 11, 12 o'clock at night. But when it comes time in the fall and spring, those lights would probably come in handy. So I don't necessarily disagree with you.
I don't know that I'd support the lights for the simple fact of the impact it could make on the neighborhood right there. I mean, we're bringing people in later at night. I'm not sure if they'd be automated to turn on, turn off, how that would work, who's gonna police, the times are out there. So I'd have some concerns with that and just the actual impact on the neighborhood.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't see the impact being that great because the amount that they'll be used is minimal and the timer can be certainly controlled by us or by the school, to turn on, turn off, or be turned off at a specific time every evening. Whether you're in the middle of a match or not, lights are out. Go home.
Hey, I just wanted to say, if we're gonna go for it, go for it, but, the discussions will keep on.
Are the lights part of the package now, or that's gonna be making more money?
Right.
Correct.
Oh,
So we got the lights.
that could be quite a bit more money.
It's $172,200.
That's people's money, we don't get.
Last question, we gotta move on.
Ronald Wagner, Sturgeon Drive. A very minor cost would be to put the conduit in now, to be virtually $0, and to save you a lot of money later on if you decide to go with the lights 2 years or 10 years from now.
You're right, the conduit is a $32,000 charge, according to this bid. Aerial, obviously would be a lot cheaper, but that's neither here nor there at the moment, so.
Nobody proposed Ariel? No.
Okay, let's move on with that. We're gonna move to, we're gonna go for 3 readings. Third reading of 22R03, resolution authorizing New Franklin to accept an Ohio Department of Natural Resources Ohio Nature Works grant for the construction of the tennis pickleball courts at the New Franklin Social Field Complex. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. So it's our third reading, obviously, just said that we, at this point, I mean, if we accept this or not, we don't accept it, we don't accept it. If we accept it, we don't necessarily have to use it. The grant is there if we proceed forward. To be honest with you, I don't see the harm in accepting this because there's no harm, no foul. We don't move forward with the pickleball courts, then there's no penalties, nothing, we have to pay back on this. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
We let it go 3 readings and we vote on it tonight. Like I said, we're not looking, we're gonna go with the project and there's no grant involved.
Yeah, this doesn't say that we're gonna go build these courts. This has nothing to do other than accepting money that is given towards the courts.
Right.
Are you all right with that? We move forward tonight on this one? All right, close community development, 636.
Our next resolution is number 22R09, for public utilities. Mr. Powell?
All right, so this is a resolution authorizing the payment of funds to participate in the New Franklin, Ohio EPA Water Protection American Rescue Plan Tax Funds. So we're looking at making payments to 2 different entities here on this. I was wondering if you could give us a little clarification on, just for example, the subway location. We're talking a number of $6,691 that we're going to pay to them. But if you look at the attached document, I think their total for the contract that was agreed upon between the city and them said max expense of $7,300. And their invoice was $9,491. I understand there's other costs with the lot assessment, capping the well stuff. Do you have those other costs there that you can share with us?
Yeah, here's the, council approved last time around that we would use, this is the other thing that we're using the additional ARPA money for, is reimbursement to the 13 public water systems who agreed to take water, in support of our Ohio EPA Principal Forgiveness Loan Project. You guys heard me go into detail. I'm not going to go through all the steps again this time around, but the summary of it is that without them, we don't get the $4 million project because Ohio EPA is interested in eliminating these public water systems. And so you get points for how many, and we had 13, and to recruit them and make it attractive, there were concessions by Aqua, they're our water provider, and also by the city, to get them to come on board. And because they did, we got a $4 million water project, and eventually we were able to get Aqua to agree. Ohio EPA forgave half the loan, and Aqua servicing the other half. And what's left for the city is to reimburse the difference between the estimates we provided for these public water systems and what their actual costs are. And we estimated low as the inducement, and so we knew those things going in, and so did Aqua. And we knew we were going to have some funds that the city was going to have to pay, and probably the best example is the line fee, and I'll get to your answer here in just a second. The basic components of the water system, when you do business with Aqua, and it kind of wants the same thing. The first cost is the lot fee, what it costs. They apportion their cost of the whole line, what the total water line costs, and they break it down either by footage or whatever, and they say, okay, if you have 180 feet of frontage, you're going to have to pay Aqua maybe $200 a foot to reimburse Aqua for the cost of putting that line out front. So Aqua's inducement on this one, and that's about what their standard would be, especially on 93. State Route 93 is about $200 a foot. They agreed to accept $25 a foot. So they made a significant concession to these public water systems. And so that was one component of estimating what these public water systems, what their maximum cost was going to be. We figured out whatever their frontage was times $25, and that became their lot fee. So in Subway's case, their lot fee, they had 180 feet of frontage. The lot fee was, I'm going to kill Brian, I can see that, $4,500. Okay? Now the second component, there's what they call an impact fee, and that's what Aqua charges you to do business with Aqua. And the way they explain that is, hey, we got to get something from you. It's like a licensing fee. We spend a lot of money to drill our wells down in Massillon and maintain them. And I told you last time, Brian, what that was. I think it was about $1,500.
Impact fee, you said.
Yeah, about $1,500. Well, Aqua waived that $1,500 for these public water systems. So they had zero in that line. So then the next line is the line fee. And that's the cost to get it from the street to the building. And we were advised, and we had a consultant who does this stuff. In fact, he's so good at it that we got this $4 million deal. CT Consultants and John Aiken, and in talking to him and in talking to Aqua, we said, okay, what's the average for this? What's it normally cost? And we try to talk to some contractors, and they say, hey, it might be $50 a foot, it might be $100 a foot. So we reduced it from our end. We said, okay, you're only going to be responsible for $15 a foot. And we knew we were going to make up the difference. So that's one piece. And then the well abandonment fee, we heard between $1,000 and $1,500. And so we said, we're going to cap your exposure to $1,000. So in Subway's case, their lot fee was estimated at $4,500. That's money they're paying to Aqua. Their line fee was estimated at $1,800. And their well abandonment fee was estimated at $1,000, and that was a total of $7,300. And so we say anything over $7,300, the city will be responsible for. The $4,500 is not ours. That's what they owe the city. That's what they have to pay that to Aqua. So the balance of the costs that they incur, it's what do they incur for the line fee and what do they incur for the crush the well. So those are the two numbers. And anything over $2,800 for the line fee and crushing the well, the city said we would be responsible for it. So their estimate of $9,491, let's see, their line fee was, I think they had this one, they had the well fee included in it. Let me see how they did it. They paid $9,491.
Not including the $4,500?
Right, yeah, separate and apart from the $4,500. The $9,491, they incurred some additional expenses for, I can't remember, it was gutter installation or they had some additional expenses, and we said that $2,800 of that $9,491 was not related to line fees and crushing the well. That a total of I know we came up that the total that we were going to have to reimburse them was not the $9,491, it was the $6,691, $6,691.
The $9,491.
Oh, okay, all right, no, that's right.
$9,491 minus.
So the $9,491 minus the $2,800. Forgive me, it's pretty confusing. The $9,491 minus the $2,800. All right, that's how we get to the $6,691.
Yeah, And the ones coming forward, we just have some more supporting information in there, and I think, just an explanation as to how we got that number, I think that'd be helpful.
Okay. All right, I'll try to do a little better on the math on
And that's all I have for utilities committee. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. There's a letter of commitment from Proud LLC, which is Subway, that says, we understand that, the understanding that our total expenses for connection shall not exceed $7,300 as set forth in the estimated expenses. Further understand that if our total costs exceed that amount, New Franklin will be responsible for any overage. But that $7,300 was laid out to be the total for expenses. And now we're separating out this $4,500 lot fee out of what the estimate was. So you're saying, well, that number on this letter of commitment should have been only $2,800, not $7,300. And if it's the $7,300, then it included the lot fee as estimated. So New Franklin really should be on the hook for $94.91 minus $7,300, or like $1,900, or just call it $2,000, not $6,000 or $6,600.
From what I understood from the mayor's explanation, is the $7,300 included the lot fee, the crushing of the well, and the installation of the plumbing into the property. And that $9,400 was just the plumbing into the property, not including the lot fee of the $4,500 and the crushing of the well.
I understand that, but the letter of commitment that says the city, what the city's on the hook for, doesn't say that. It doesn't say you separate out the lot fee.
It says our total expenses for connection.
It says that our total expenses for connection will
Connection.
not exceed the,
Right.
and then.
Not for the lot fee, but for the connection from the street.
Okay.
Yeah, $7,300 would be the all-in cost to be connected to that water system.
Okay, but that $4,500 lot fee was included in the $7,300
In the estimate.
in the estimate. So,
So the portion I think that he had on there, that was the $1,800 in the estimate.
I just ran the numbers. The numbers, if you take that $4,500 lot fee out, yeah, it's there $94.91 minus the $2,800 is $66.91. But that's not what the letter of commitment said. So I guess we're paying for way more than. Because it says that the city would be, that our total costs exceed the amount New Franklin will be responsible for overage, over $7,300. And we're paying them well more than that. Than the difference between $7,300 and what they had for the connection.
I guess it would depend on your understanding of, your interpretation of expenses for connection. All right, and I can tell you that there was no confusion between us and the public water systems as to what that was. That was the amount that it was going to cost them. Their number with Aqua was their number with Aqua. That was a set number. We weren't involved in that part of it. Our part of it was the line fee and the crushing of the well. The connection from the Aqua line, once the line was in the ground, what does it cost them to get them from the street into their building? That was our understanding with them, and they're happy to proceed. You can see from the attached emails that they're at peace with that as well, as are all the rest of the public water systems.
Yes.
If you get, does this company to put it, Aqua, they put the line on, do you have to get them to, abandon your well too? Is that,
You would have a contractor do that.
you know, you said it was $1,000 to do that. I work with Bob Smith, the well driller, and he's done that. I've been with him when he's done that. You pull a line out of the well and you pour bentonite down there.
Cut the casing down, fill it with bentonite, weld the cap on top.
You put the cap back on the well that was there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is this contract, they gotta do all the work, or can you hire Tom Smith over here to plug your well?
If I understand
That'd save you
correctly,
a lot of money right there on $1,000.
they hire their own plumber to do the work. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and we've encouraged them to use, we've had some that, they got a high estimate, we said, hey, I think if you talk to this one, you get a little bit lower. I mean, ultimately, it's, it's their line. But we've had those discussions, and they've been cooperative with us. And we've talked to all the local people, and some of them just don't want to do it. There were a number of companies that didn't want to be involved in it, for some surprising.
When we got gas on Grove Road, I dug my own line out to the road, and I put the pipe, the gas line in, and I paid them for tying it in, but I saved a lot of money there.
Any other questions? Yes, Robin?
It's Robin Akey, 1215 Center Road. I guess what's part of the confusion is the agreement. And I had trouble when I first saw it myself, is it's not as clear as some of us who have dealt with other contracts. And I was looking at the 7,300 that Mr. Sevak looked at, and it 4,500 was part of ACWA. So that really shouldn't have been on the agreement, but it's there so that the customer, which was Subway, knew and that what ACWA was tied to. And that the 2,800, and then they incurred a lot of additional costs to cut up the asphalt, and I'm just using Subway. I have nothing against them.
Right.
Okay, I'm just trying to, the confusion that I had, and then all of a sudden I saw the bill for 97, or 94, 91, total bill. And it was confusing because there was a 73.58 cost for taking it from the curb to Subway's building. So that might have been part of it. I do have some questions on the line items, like I'm not sure we should be paying for them getting their equipment on the truck to bring it here. That's a $500 cost. I don't think we should be paying that fee. If you agree, the agreement says from the curb to the building. There are some items on this bill that I disagree that we should be paying for. The other concern I have is that we have ended up, because of this agreement, that we're paying 70% of this bill. The city, well, the taxpayers are paying 70% of this bill. How many homeowners got the same option? If it was to make sure, this agreement, that we got the funding from the EPA, that line came down Caston and went over to, I'm going to mix up my roads here, but there was like a zigzag, and then it came down Reniger, my understanding, and then it split, and it came north, and or it went north and came south. There was a whole bunch of residents on those roads that it came down. Where did they get an offer like this? That they could have tied in and you would have more participation in the water. So, it's kind of water over the dam at this point. You've got to adhere to this contract. But I would think a lot of people, like residents, who had that line coming down and thought about tying in but didn't want to have all these costs, and now the taxpayers are paying 70% of just this bill. And when you look at the other one, we're paying over 60% of the next bill that you guys got on the legislation tonight. Is that fair to the taxpayers? I understand these businesses are here for us. They've been here for at least as long as I've lived here, and that's over 20 years. And there's residents that have lived here long enough, and if the residents aren't here to support the businesses, it's a catch-22, I understand that, but there should be a deal being made to help the residents with these costs if you're going to do it for the businesses. And I have a problem with doing the 70%, but I know the city has to deal with this contract. But hopefully going forward, council will be more aware of the agreement that's being made with the customers and the incentives to do this. So just be aware, council. Pay attention to what's being done.
And although it's dangerous waters, but they incurred total expenses, Subway. Their bill was $9,400, and then they paid $4,500 to ACWA. Okay? So their total cost was $13,991. All right. which is a bargain from what they would have paid in a normal commercial setting, for what they would have had to pay for that lot fee of $200 a foot for 180 feet. But in any event, they paid $13,991. Right? The city is reimbursing half that, not 70%. The city is reimbursing $6,691 of what Subway's out-of-pocket cost was to get water to their building. So
The
that is to
agreement
correct
with the
that.
city, the taxpayers are reimbursing them 70% of what the city agreed to. The city agreed to pay anything over $2,800 that Subway incurred.
Okay, all right. Well, in any event,
The
it's about half
45
of
is
the
what they were paying anyway.
Okay, all right.
But the taxpayers are responsible for 70% of what this agreement said we would be responsible for.
And I would, okay, whatever, maybe we have a difference.
Their total cost is not,
All right.
they gotta pay Aqua regardless.
All right. What I would just, and to remind everybody is this, that we've never had water on State Route 93, all right? I drive by some businesses up there, there's an awful lot of cars in driveways and the parking lots where people are working for businesses that might not be here right now if we hadn't gotten water up here. That was the impetus to get the water here. So when we talk about the benefit to the citizens, it's to have businesses up there that employ people that we generate income tax from. So there's that to begin with, not to mention the opportunity for expansion for a water project that we never had. All right? And that other than these costs, it's not costing the taxpayers anything. And we got 13 of them, and right now we're looking at $6,000, $7,000 each. And you do the math on that, and we think, probably won't be more than $150,000 altogether. That's a lot of money? That's a lot of money. We got a $4 million project because these people stepped up to the plate and said they would do this. There is an additional benefit to the other folks that are on the water line because they have been offered a reduced lot fee as well. Instead of having to pay $175 or $200 a foot for their lot fee, I've got it in the other room, I think, literally $50 or something like that. So we got a substantial discount for everybody else that's on the water lines, if and when they choose to tie in. And I think it's also critical to keep in mind that nobody has to. It's entirely, there's no mandatory tie-ins. And the last thing I'll say is the standard business model is for Aqua to have at least 60 or 65% of the people on the line agree to tie in before they'll even put the line in. And if we had to wait for that, we wouldn't have water here right now. So I don't think these businesses are necessarily getting a windfall. They saved some money. They stepped up to the plate for us. On top of that, these are people these people are already invested here. These are stakeholders that we want to treat them well. So we didn't give anything away, but we made concessions, and so that's the best way I can explain it.
We wouldn't have this discussion if they didn't step up right now. We wouldn't have no water here, and we wouldn't have this discussion. Because without them stepping up, for us to come up with the 200,000 or whatever it was going to take, we wouldn't be talking about it. Or we would have talked about it 10, 15 years ago when it originally came.
We'd have been talking about trying to finance $2 million, half the water project. All right, and try to find a way to finance $2 million, or we'd have said we just can't get water up there. All right, and all right.
So the taxpayers pay twice then? We're paying for the businesses, reimbursing them, and then people who connect will have to pay from their street up to their house.
Sure.
So they're paying for it.
Yeah. So if it's I'm sure in front of my house, but they're not.
Give the same deal to the people who connect on what's already been run down the road.
Well, council could decide to do that if they want to do that. I don't know why it would be economically viable. I don't know why we'd want to do that.
This agreement at $15 a foot wasn't it? When you had estimates of 50 to 100, you discounted it down to $15.
And
what a deal! Where's that money coming from? The taxpayers.
Any other questions? So we'll close the public utilities meeting at 7:02.
Our next resolution is Resolution 22R10 for the Streets and Drainage Committee.
All right, we'll open streets and drainage, we'll call it from 7:01. All members present, we have one piece of legislation this evening, it's resolution 22-R10. Excuse me, a resolution declaring a need for the city of New Franklin 2022 road paving project and authorizing New Franklin to advertise for sealed bids and declaring an emergency. Again, this is like we had a couple weeks ago, just getting on get in for the county on getting the bids.
Well, on this one, we're gonna do our own bidding on this one, for the paving. So we're on the county for the chip and seal, and for the crack seal, and for the lines. So we're part of that one. But this will be a separate bid like we did last time, not in Wishart County, because we got a better price. We want to get those bids out. We're still working with Brian day to day on this exactly. We're going to put it out in the form of alternates. He's got some ideas of which roads make sense. We're using our pavement condition rating to try to spot those. We anticipate in excess of $1 million towards the paving, to allocate at least $600,000 of the ARPA funds, and then at least $500,000 in general funds to do as much paving as we can do. Maybe we can do more. We'll see how the prices come in. So it's going to be in blocks. It'll be the first, 2 or 3 different alternates, and we'll see. And those are set up, as you know, to a lot of times geographically, because it's cheaper if they do a neighborhood, etc. So, but we wanted to get this one moving so we can get those bids out.
Okay, so we're still waiting on this street.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? We proceed with grading 3 readings on this. So get out there. All right, we'll go ahead and close streets and drainage at 7:03.
Our next resolution is number 22R11, Finance Committee, Mr. Cox.
Thank you. We'll open the Finance Committee at 7:03. Resolution 22R11, a resolution to add 1 full-time police officer to New Franklin Police Department and declaring an emergency. We talked about this a few weeks ago, where we need to start looking at other things besides our part-timers. It's getting more difficult to find part-time officers, and by bringing in a full-time, that's just going to help mitigate some of the pressure on our staff.
And it has, if I may, and Chief Bickett is with us, and we welcome Chief Bickett, and I guess I'll get ahead of my mayor's report. Chief Dan Davidson resigned. So he worked his last day on January 31st, after 37 years of meritorious service. Then Captain Dan Bickett has now been appointed a chief, and we're happy to have him with us. I indicated this in the declared an emergency when I drew this, and I indicated that an emergency exists because of the need for an additional officer as quick as we can get him. I mean, it's twofold. Number one, police officers are a hot commodity right now, and nobody can find them. We've lost a couple recently of our part-timers who went to full-time. So there's a real strong market for them. With the chiefs, with Chief Davidson leaving, we've had some promotions through the ranks, Brian Kreiner, one of our sergeants, was recently promoted to captain, and we are now filling the sergeant's position from the applicants we have from our current patrol. And we've got some really good candidates, and a decision will be made on that any day. And so we'll be taking one of our patrol guys and moving him up to sergeant, and then that creates an opening. That's not the one that's before you. Separate and apart from that, that's an opening that we want to advertise, and we expect to fill that from within, from our current part-timers. But we want to give them that opportunity while they're still here, before some other department comes and snatches them away from us. So we're going to post that one, and we got some good people, so that we can fill from those part-timers. Now, the reason we're asking you for an additional one is for the reason that our part-times, we're shrinking in terms of the number of people that are available for part-time, because they don't have to. They can work full-time. On top of that, all of it's aggravated by the fact that we have an officer who's out and going to be out for an extended period for medical leave. So that opening exists right now. So we're just shorthanded, and we're trying to fill the shifts. The expense is for the full-time is when we add benefits and everything, we've always figured it maybe in the range of $100,000 by the time we add salary and benefits. It's probably a little high. We're spending about $45,000 on the part-time, a 40-hour part-time. So we'll incur an additional expense of about $50,000. But it's the future. I mean, the fire department's the same way. That's not unique to New Franklin. It's just going to be harder and harder to fill those seats. So for that reason, I would ask you to proceed on this evening, because then we can post both positions. Instead of having to go through two of them, and we can fill those positions as quickly as we can and staff our shifts. I don't know if I left anything for you to say, as usual, but anything I missed, anything you want to add?
No, you nailed it. I mean, we have a minimum staffing level of 3 officers on the road at a time. It's going to be hard to hit that number with our current part-timers. We've always relied on part-timers to fill the gaps. We've lost 3 in the last couple of months to other full-time departments. So we don't have the numbers right now to fill the gaps to keep 3 guys out there.
Any other questions, concerns? Wave 3. Moving on to our next resolution.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
I did have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I leave it up to the chief to determine staffing needs and so forth. The only question I have is adding an additional full-time officer going to require additional vehicular equipment? Are we going to need another cruiser if we add another officer?
No, because I'll let the chief speak. So.
No, we share cruisers. We're fine with cruisers right now. They are hard to find, but the guys are taking care of them. We have enough to kind of keep a rotation going, so no additional cruisers.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I read in Leader last Friday, there was 2 incidents in New Franklin. It seems like we need a lot less police officers.
Well, what's posted in the newspaper isn't everything that goes.
Well, I think that is very bad publicity for the police department. I look at that, there's 2 incidents. What is my money going for?
Well, again, I'm sure.
You look at Green.
Okay, we're going.
There's all kinds of stuff happening
Thank you.
over there, and I know there's stuff happening here.
Thank you. Moving on to Resolution 22R04, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter an agreement with Hogmeyer Design Group to conduct a comprehensive plan update. This is the second reading on this. I haven't heard anybody have concerns. We talked about it at the last meeting. Any questions or comments about Hogmeyer for the comprehensive plan? Okay. I'm comfortable with waiving the third reading.
Yeah, I am too. Haven't heard any dialogue, we left it open.
And I believe that will take care of the Finance Committee at 7:10.
Thank you, Jim. Do you have any other issues on the school committee? Then I'd like to call to order the February 2nd, 2022, New Franklin City Council. All rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cox?
Present.
Mr. Hargit? Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Fetterman?
Here.
Mr. Powell? Mr. Daniels?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
I'd like to make I move to accept the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of January 19th.
So moved.
Have a first and second.
Okay.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
This is the time that we have public comment. We ask that you keep it to 4 minutes. If you want to come up to the podium, you can. You can say right where you are if you want. And make any comments, Mark. I know you like to come up.
The nice thing about coming up is people can hear you.
They really
Let's just do
can.
something real quick. I want to thank Mayor Adamson.
Keep your name. and-
Oh, Mark Sedlak, Grove Road, 5497 Grove Road. I want to thank Mayor Adamson. I brought it up again at the last council meeting about adding some language to clarify the new Franklin development plan on the city business page. We had a discussion after the meeting last week. I recommended kind of gave him an idea of what language I would have liked to see. He took that and massaged it a little bit, and now we have some clarifying language on that page, and I thank you for attending.
Appreciate your interest.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Comments in general, is that what we're doing?
Yes, there's a gentleman behind you. Sorry.
In regards to the,
Name?
I need your name
oh,
and
Mike
address.
Channels, 5718 Grove Road. And in regards to the pickleball tennis courts, the whole Cicero Park, I looked at as it's our future. We can't just think this is going to stop just with these tennis courts and pickleball courts. If you think about this park, this could be one of the nicest parks we have in our community.
Thank you. Sharon?
I'll come up. Is that a handout?
Yeah, it's not only easier for us to hear, the people at home watching can hear a lot better.
I'm louder than one. I might go. I'm gonna stand a little bit away from them. First of all, I want to express my thanks for having my mailbox fixed. There was somebody at my door the morning after the last council meeting. They took it right down. It's supposed to snow tonight, and if it disappears again tomorrow, we'll keep an eye out on that. Sharon Rex, 7818 Road. It's unfortunate that the courts project is being perceived as a for and against issue. My mind works based on facts. I'm a science person. So I've seen these past 4 months as a time of gathering information to make as informed a decision as possible. Facts on the proposed site, grant funding, the project cost, similar facilities in other communities, and the agreement with the school district. Mayor Adamson has stated repeatedly that the deed outlines the return of the property to the district if the courts are not built. Judy, you specifically asked about this at the January 5th meeting, right, and there was quite a conversation about that. I've watched some of your faces when that's been discussed, and it's a use it or lose it proposition. And nobody likes to be on the losing end of something like that. You know, we don't want to think that we're going to not have an opportunity that we might have. So I've actually continued my fact gathering, and I'd just like to, if I may, share this with you.
Thank you.
This is a copy of the deed for the Cicero Woods property. And I'm not an attorney, so once I pulled this off of the Summit County website, I ended up speaking to 2 attorneys and a title company and also to a law school student. And the deed is really very straightforward. The grantor is the district, so the grantor, the district, conveys the property to the grantee, the city, with no stipulations on either side. So basically, this deed says that the school district has given the property to the city, and that there's nothing really at that point to say in this deed, since this is the object that we're looking at and that we've been told, you know, we have to give it back if we don't use it, that would actually end up happening. One of the things that is of interest is at the top of your second page. The grantee is the city. The grantee, by its acceptance of this deed, agrees that no building or any other structure, whether permanent or temporary, shall be built, placed, or located on the property. So when we look at that, we're looking at a situation where nothing can really be put on that. The question becomes, what is a structure? So if we go into our zoning code, which is after the deed, after the survey and some of the other documents, the definition in the zoning code of a structure is anything built, constructed, or erected, the use of which requires location on the ground or attachment to something having a fixed location on the ground. So tennis courts, pickleball courts are built on the ground. My concern, my opposition has never been to this project. There are a lot of people here tonight that I'm assuming are pickleball people, basically because of your age, but maybe you play tennis, I'm not sure. My concern started, as we know, with the site selection for this. You know, it's in our neighborhood, it's an area that's been special to us. The size of this facility for our community is concerning as well. We're looking at building a massive, massive complex at the expense of possibly building a wonderful playground for our kids. You know, a structure that might benefit people besides just kind of a select group. I emailed you when I said that really I see council's role as being one where you are doing what you can to enhance all of our lives. You know, that's a great goal, I think. That we are trying to spread what we're doing across the board so that everyone can benefit. I see a lot of red flags with what's going on with this. You know, we've had some issues with the way the grant was handled. I'm not sure about how all this plays out, but it's probably something that certainly bears some looking into. I'm glad we're going to 3 readings because it's warrants much more discussion than what we're doing right now. Thank you so much for your time.
If I could, while we're on that subject, and I understand how that might be confusing, and what I have said, and what is true, is that the deed would revert to the school if we don't build the courts. And in a real estate transaction, and this one is no different than any other, just like the sale of your house, you have a purchase agreement, and then deeds are issued subject to the purchase agreement. Now, in this case, because we didn't have to pay for it, the agreement is a real estate donation agreement, and I'd be happy to share it with anybody who wants a copy. And that's where the language is. So in the real estate donation agreement that was signed by the superintendent, by the principal, the agreement to convey the subject property, the proposed uses, in the event the donee does not substantially complete construction of the tennis and pickleball courts within 2 years of the date of this agreement, the donee shall return the premises to the donor by general warranty deed, free of any encumbrances. So that's where the requirement is. It's in the purchase agreement, in the contract. So that part is accurate.
So that actually supersedes the deed document itself?
Yeah, the deed itself, what our requirement is, what their requirement was to give us a deed, a free and clear deed. Okay. And pursuant to contract then, if we don't build the courts, we're required to deed it back. And let's say it's 2 years, we say we're not gonna. Well, they're gonna file a lawsuit, they're gonna sue on this contract, and we're gonna have to do it.
Does it say anything about the size that structure needs to be?
No.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything else? Yes.
Ronald Wagner, 563 Sturgeon. I'm 83 years old, been playing tennis for 7 years, been playing pickleball for 4. And both are awesome sports. I've heard people say, well, we don't have a very good tennis team here at Manchester. Well, if we have courts 20 years from now, they might be state champions. You know, we don't know. And the pickleball courts are not built for a select group like us old people. Everybody who plays this, and I know hundreds of people who played it, I've not run into one person who didn't love the sport. And it's being played in some of our grade schools, quite a few of our high schools, And I predict before too long, you're going to see the high school teams competing against each other. Another very unusual thing about pickleball is men have virtually no advantage over women. I've got my butt kicked by a lot of women in the 80s. And yet I can play it with people who are 40 years old. They may win, but I'm going to give them a battle. And it is just, it's an awesome sport. Anybody who has never tried it, I just encourage you to give it a try. I think you'll love it. Thank you.
I have a question for you, sir. I have a question for you. From what you're saying, you actually feel that it might bring the young and the old together.
Without a doubt.
This is played everywhere with. I play with teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, I lose, but I.
I was gonna say at Rockland Park, a lot of times on the weekends, you'll see grandparents with their grandkids play. It's an all-age sport.
Does anybody else have anything to say? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Candace Wright-Burris, and I'm at 978 for tennis. And I want to say that the tennis courts and the pickleball courts are a great idea, great for our community. The tennis team at the high school has grown. We actually have 30 girls on the girls' tennis team each fall, and it's an amazing team. My daughter played tennis for Manchester. She received a 4-year scholarship from Fairmont State University. The tennis team, my youngest daughter, she was a senior this year. She's a district qualifier, and she's being recruited by a few universities as well. And to have local tennis courts where we wouldn't have to travel, we travel to Columbus, we travel everywhere. I mean, that would be amazing. When my daughter was a junior, we traveled back and forth to Barberton. She was in a car accident on the way home from tennis practice. I mean, I know you can be in a car accident at any time, and things happen, but that would just be a wonderful thing to where our students at our school are not traveling far to go to practices and matches. So it would just be great. People of all ages, we play at a tennis league at Green Tennis Club, and you know, there's young people, older people. I mean, the community would benefit so much if we had a wonderful place to play tennis and pickleball. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, sir. I almost missed you.
Randy Snyder, Porter Avenue.
What was your
Randy Snyder, Porter Avenue, New Franklin.
Porter Avenue?
I played on the first ever tennis team from Manchester 45 years ago. We had no home courts then. Luckily, the Jacobs family who ran the Manchester Swim Club at the time allowed us to utilize their facilities to play. Not everyone in the community is a football player or a baseball player or a track star. But being able to compete in the high school tennis team for me helped me build confidence, find my niche at the school, and eventually it led to a college scholarship for myself. You mentioned Fairmont State. I played at West Liberty State College many years ago. Our student athletes actually deserve to have a home court for practice matches. On a daily basis, having those courts close by would save them hours of travel and the possibility that a young lady here had an accident might not happen if she did not have to travel back and forth every day. If younger students were able to attend the matches by going to school, it might build the interest up, as Mr. Wagner here indicated, that 15 years from now, 20 years from now, they're going to watch the pickleball, they're going to watch the tennis courts. The junior high kids are going to get interested sooner. Parents are going to go watch. Again, it's bringing the community together to do these things. The courts, along with the pickleball courts, if they were available for general use, somebody like myself, I'm getting a little older, tennis is getting a little harder and harder. I would love to be able to get involved in pickleball. I think it's something that I would enjoy very, very much. Hopefully some of the dexterity and hand-eye coordination is still there to be able to do that, like it was in tennis for me. And let's keep it in New Franklin. Why should we have to drive to Green? Why should we have to drive to North Canton? Why should we have to drive to Akron to do something? Let's keep this in our community for the people of Manchester. I don't really think there's anything bad about it. Some people say, well, I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to use it. community is about everybody. There are many things in the community that I don't use, but I still like the community. And let's face it, when it comes time to vote for a school levy, any community I've ever lived in, whether it's Manchester, Brecksville, Pittsburgh, wherever it is I've lived, you vote for the school levy. You want your schools to be good. You want your community to be top notch. You want to be able to draw people in. You want to be able to keep people in and spend money in your community. So it's long overdue for the town of Manchester to have some tennis facilities. So I think we need to move forward with this.
Harry Procise, 438 Center. I'm not going to speak specifically about the tennis and pickleball courts, but about the amount of money that keeps being spent. This is a very large amount of money that's going to be spent on this project. It means 7.5 years minimum that there will be no money available for other capital projects, equipment for parks, vehicles for parks, any other expenses. They'll either have to go without or push that 7.5 years even further. If you look on look at some of the social media sites where this was being discussed, and people were saying all kinds of things about what they want for their community. We want a community center, we want a pool, we want a place where the kids can hang out. We want all these things. That takes a lot of money. And if we go 7.5 years or further with no money for capital projects like that, that's just a long time. It's a lot of money to spend. Any ways that we can trim costs, bring in sponsors, any ways that can, more grants that can help, but it still is a large cost. The people in New Franklin, especially with the new community, survey coming up, need to decide, do we want all this stuff, or do we want maybe a scaled down version, or we want this and we understand that means we're not going to get all this other stuff. So I'm just concerned about the amount of money that keeps getting spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Kelly, would you do this resolution for us, please? Go to R08.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to take all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, 2022 Energized Community Grant.
This resolution was assigned to community development and need to wait for 3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Go to
Passes 7-0.
we move to adopt resolution 22R08.
Second.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
7-0. Kelly, would you read resolution 22R09?
A resolution authorizing payment of funds to participants in the New Franklin, Ohio EPA water project from American Rescue Plan Act funds.
So this is to the Public Utilities Committee. Are we going to ask for comment on this, or is that what we plan?
Would you like to read?
I'm fine with waiving it 3 and moving forward on
I'll
that.
let you make the motion to waive the readings.
Second.
We have a first and a second.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-R-09.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Kelly, would you read the resolution 22R10?
A resolution declaring the need for the City of New Franklin 2022 road paving project and authorizing New Franklin to advertise for sealed bids and declaring an emergency.
This was discussed during our streets and drainage. I'd like to make a motion to adopt, or to waive the three readings on resolution 22-R10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Kelly, would you-
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock? Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 22-10. Second.
We have a motion and a
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
motion passes 7-0. Kelly, would you read motion 22R11?
A resolution to add one full-time police officer to the New Franklin Police Department and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is signed to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the three readings on resolution 22R11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Kelly, would you read the roll call?
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 22R11.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Kelly, would you read resolution 22R12?
A resolution awarding a bid to Kavanaugh Building Corporation for construction of tennis pickleball courts at Sisler Complex and declaring an emergency.
This was assigned to community development, and we asked the council.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with Hagemeyer Design Group to conduct a comprehensive plan update.
This resolution is signed to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the third reading on resolution 22R04.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell? Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 22R04.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Now, I need to read resolution 22R02.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to accept an Ohio Department of Natural Resources Ohio Nature Works grant for the construction of tennis and pickleball courts at the New Franklin Sisler Field Complex and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This was assigned to community development. Do we have any further questions, comments on this?
You want to do the first and second then discussion?
This is the third reading.
This is the third reading.
So we don't even have to do the
No.
first second? Okay. I would like to speak a little bit to this. I asked to not waive the three because I wanted some time to discuss it. You know, I'm new to council. I wanted to make sure the community got another opportunity, a few more opportunities to discuss this, and then we're gonna have a few more opportunities to discuss this with regard to the final legislation that actually approved it. I appreciate council's support for that. I've seen with my eyes a dramatic amount of input from all different facets of the community. For a long time, we had a group that was here opposed to the location, and they made their point very clear and were very polite and brought us a lot of information in a very good way. I have to say, in the last 5 days, I don't know if it was when the agenda came out, or if it was when the Facebook post was made, or how that all worked, but all of a sudden, there was a overwhelming amount of support. I was pretty surprised at not only the people who were in favor of it, more importantly, people here in this town who have been here on and off their entire life, who until a couple days ago didn't know about it. Now, in my opinion, this waving the three on something that's big like this is a big project. It started out with a cost of something like $450,000. And I know we're not talking about that project. We're just talking about attempting grant money. So I'm a little ahead of myself, but I just want to make the point that I appreciate the time that was taken, the debate, the dialogue in the community. There was a lot of really good information. And I know sometimes that's uncomfortable. Sometimes when that volley gets going back and forth, the debate, the discussion, everything, it's uncomfortable. Every once in a while, somebody calls somebody a name. But this is taxpayer money we're doing. So we've got to take it seriously. We have to think it through. We have to take our time. We have to sit through these long, difficult meetings because that's what we're supposed to do. And I just want to say I appreciate it very much. And how I feel about this legislation, you asked me the first meeting to tell you how I felt, and I didn't know how I felt. I feel a lot different about it. I do. I'm blown away by the cost. I'm blown away by the fact that we as a city just keep marching forward. We are almost double what was originally discussed when this went out. And I think that's not the way we should do business. I really don't. But that's where we're at. I'm not where you are. And I didn't ask for that job. But I just want to say thank you.
Mr. Daniels, anyone else? Okay. Move to adopt 22R03.
We have a first and a second.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
We have no any legislation, so we're going to the mayor's report.
What's your favorite part?
It's my favorite part. I
All right, well, you'll like it. Well, I was gonna say you'll like it because it's short, but.
My mind was on, I don't really, are you for or against?
I know. I wasn't. Well, yeah.
Your mind is changing
Yeah.
a little bit, is what it sounds like.
Honestly, my kids play tennis here. I feel, I love the concept. The money is what just blew me away. How we got from this to this is a big jump.
It is.
I'm a business owner. If I make decisions like this, I wouldn't be hauling any freight. I can tell you that. So there are some concerns, but there does seem to be a real, I was very uncomfortable with it when nobody came to the meeting really in support of it, except for the people that were on the original next meeting. So we had the Regional Pickleball Association president or chairman. We got a lot of information from the tennis coaches. We got tennis coaches from all over Northeast Ohio, but we weren't getting residents, and that changed within the last 5 days.
It did, honestly.
Believe me, I want to move on, but I also have surveyed, and the overwhelming response is yes. And in 2019 money, this is, I assume it probably would have been $500,000, but you know where we're at, and you know what everything costs us, but.
And I do think that all of us, because of both of you saying we need to take 3 readings, and you both have been very wasteful on that. But I do think it has helped all of us understand this project better. Now our favorite part.
All right, no, that's been healthy. And let me just comment on that. You know, how it got from 450 or whatever to 500. We did talk those numbers. We had, we've been talking about this thing for really quite a long time. Year and a half, over a year and a half. And we had some numbers for what the surface would cost. And so we the Parks Committee checked that out, and 250,000, et cetera. You know, I was shocked when the numbers came in as high as they did. I will tell you that we were hopeful. We applied for 250,000 on the ODNR grant. So, you know, when we think about what the cost was going to be, 450 or 500,000, well, we were hopeful that we'd get that, you know, the 250. So, I guess, and I respect every step of this process, every one of them. And, you know, I got so much respect for you ladies, and I don't say that to be gracious or anything. I do. We're on a different side on that one. But you've been professional, you've been courteous and thorough, and so it's all been a good thing. When out there, the poll, that was a good thing too. I never meant to, in terms of the cost, I guess, let me just get back to that, Jack, or Mr. Daniels, that, I was optimistic, maybe if we get the grant, if this thing comes in, and I was hoping $750 for all of the lights in the whole shop. All right, and then we get a couple grants, we're financing about $500,000, et cetera. Well, then the numbers came in through the moon, so, I don't feel that it was irresponsible in that sense. You follow me? Because it wasn't like we're going to spend $400. Oops, wait a minute, we're going to spend $800. I said, hey, I'm hopeful it'll be that, but the proof's in the pudding. We knew the number was going to come out in the bid, and so it was never a shell game where I knew it was going to be $750, but I just said $400. That was never the case. Okay, if I estimated low, it's because I was optimistic of the grant, et cetera. So. But the process and going through the 3 readings, it's a good thing. And I think council's been judicious with that. And this stuff, we continue to grow. I mean, we're still sort of in our infancy when it's all said and done as a city. I was at the Greens State of the City last week, and they're celebrating 30 years now. And we followed them. In a sense. Well, I don't say we. The citizens decided that what Green did in becoming a city was a good thing, and in a lot of ways used that as a model, carved out the village, et cetera, et cetera. And so they've got 30 years under their belt, and we're in year, we're in year 17. So it's still a growth pattern. The short form of what I'm trying to say is I respect the fact what you're doing, and 3 readings has been a healthy thing, and I think you guys have been employing it judiciously, and it's not that it was broken before.
Yeah, I'd like to, we're talking about that, like this is a brand new thing since we have new council.
Yeah.
Tonight we passed 4 things and waived them on the first reading. We have always, in my 17 and Judy's 17 plus years up here, we have took time on the stuff that we are still taking time on. So to think that all of a sudden we've changed because we have some new council members that we are taking 3 readings on things now is not true. We have always done stuff that we're working on now, taking 3 readings. We have always done that. Stuff that we waived, the 4 things that we have waived tonight, we have waived those in the past also. So to think this is all brand new, it kind of gets me a little bit that all of a sudden now we're taking extra time on stuff. We've done the exact same thing for my 17 years up here. And Judy, I think you can say that too.
I can't in all instances.
You can't say that.
No, I can't think we've always done that.
Well, we've always said on the issues that like we're taking there with, there's a lot of concern and a lot of feedback, taking time. If we're passing something to get a grant, we've always had
But I'm
something.
saying it's nice that we took the 3 days. I think it's very nice, it's nice that we learned
But
from
it's
it.
not new, Judy. We've done that through the years, all these years.
So we choose to disagree, then that's all.
And that's fine. We're always gonna do that.
We
That's
are.
fine. But we still work together.
We love each other.
I certainly didn't intend my comments to lead to anything adversarial. But they
Bring it on, that's fine with me. That doesn't bother me a bit.
all right, we're all good. Okay, well, we already welcomed the chief. We've done that. The comprehensive plan. For instance, and this has been approved, but we won't be able to sign the contract for 30 days on the comprehensive plan because it's not an emergency legislation. So we will execute the agreement, and we actually got to get the agreement. They have a proposal, but we'll get a formal agreement from Hogemeyer. The selection committee has been meeting weekly, and we're meeting again Monday. And I think at this point we'll be ready to start a rollout of putting the steering committee together and the whole application process for that. And we're going to try to be as universal on that as we possibly can and give everybody an opportunity to be considered for that. But also, I think, give everybody a heads up of what's coming with this comprehensive plan because it's going to be a nice tool for the city. So we're continuing to work on that. I think you'll see some things in the next 10 days, 2 weeks, that come from the selection committee on that. The light is up at Grill School. And have you seen it?
I haven't,
You were told?
I'm rarely, I'm at one place for many, many hours a day, but.
Right. I haven't seen it yet either, but I
was told
understand
that.
that. So at least they wanted a security light up there, and we were able to get a security light up there. And a word about Grill. We haven't forgotten Grill, and I think it's gonna be a matter of what makes sense over there. What do the people want to see over there? But I will say that the good news is that we saved the place. The city did. I mean, that was, the school district, they tore down the building and it was up for sale, and there was talk about commercial development there. And the city stepped in and we were able to purchase that for the tax value, with cooperation with the Norton schools. And so, I mean, the good news over there is we have that we preserved it, and I know the residents over there appreciate that fact. And eventually that'll grow into what they want it to be. But, all right, but at least we got a light up now for security purposes. Meanwhile, while I'm talking about the west side, I made inquiry today again about the Cumble Road Bridge. Everybody, including me, are anxious about that, and the shorthand on that, as everybody knows, is it's in Norton, and it's their responsibility and it's their option what they do with it. The plans are going forward, the design work has been done. That is part of an overall $3 million project. Not the bridge. They're doing an expansion of Eastern Road, that corridor to get out to 21, which is going to benefit us. I mean, it's their $3 million, but that's on our border. And we have, that sector out there is, there's potential for development out there and a better tie-in to 21. That's a windfall for us. And the bridge is incorporated into that overall plan. They're waiting now for a word from OPWC on about $800,000 funding for that. I've been told that whether they get it or not, this thing's going forward. But that's the current wait. And then they hope once that gets in place, they go out for bid. And the hope is that the bid would come in and they would start with that section and it'd be up before the year's up. So we're doing everything we can to keep that moving. And as of now, it is still moving. Snail's pace, but it's moving. And let's see. We are gearing up for the storm. And I would love it if it's one of those like it used to be where you're going to get a foot of snow and we got a trace, but they're probably right about this one. And we're trying to be as judicious as we can. We're going to close the offices tomorrow. We got some people coming from down south anyway, so we're going to close the offices. I'll be here, but we have extra staffing with the police. We have extra staffing with the fire. The service department is resting up. Republic has indicated they're not going to pick up tomorrow. So they're pushed back at least one day, and I guess that'll operate like the regular holiday kind of thing. That the Thursday will be Friday and Friday will be Saturday. And we also, we had at our staff meeting, we talked about, everybody's concerned about power outages. We've never had to resort to this into the city, but we have 3 facilities that have generators, and if it becomes necessary, if we have some type of extended significant power outage, we will arrange to open those. You're sitting in one of them, and basically the fire station and the Tudor house. We would use. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if we hit an extended stretch, then we'll make those available as well, and we'll get word out to people if that happens with the show. That doesn't. That's all I got.
Are we going to have a finance report of any type, Paul?
No.
Susan is ill.
She has illness in the family that she's attending to.
Do we have any old business?
I do. I know we haven't talked about this in a really long time, and so I'm kind of nervous about bringing it up because it's been so long. Can we talk about parks? We've had a lot of conversation, obviously, about the tennis pickleball courts and other things that could take place in other parks. I'd like to see our park commission put together a 5-year plan of what they'd like to see at all of our parks. Some of the parks there's nothing you can do, and that's fine. But other parks there are things. At Brill Park, what are we going to do there? Let's start coming up with a plan. Let's start talking to the community out in that area and find out what do you want out here? What do you want this park to be? At Sisler, whether we go forward with the tennis and pickleball or not, some things were brought up is a playground. That makes total sense to have a playground that's this, or even without the tennis and pickleball, because you still have families coming out for their kids playing soccer or baseball or whatever, and not the entire family is playing. So, give kids something to do. So being able to look at the possibility of a playground there or at other parks. We have Bolus Park, which is just a field. But, is there anything we can do there? Now, we don't have any parking, so that may not be a place we can do anything with. But I'd like to see our park commission really start looking at the 5-year plan. We talked about the money going to pay off the pickleball and tennis courts. And as you mentioned, the thought, the idea is have it paid off in 7.5 years. But we don't have to pay it off in 7.5 years if we have other things, because this money isn't costing us money. So we can extend that out to maybe 10 years, or make that number, instead of $75,000 a year, we make it $50,000 a year, and go out 10 or 11 years to pay it off. So we can have funds to do other things if the park commission comes up with those ideas. But I'd like to see a not necessarily concrete, but a pretty strong plan, what they'd like to see over the next 5 years for each park. I'd like to see them get involved again with the neighborhoods that those parks affect, so that it's not just them coming up with it, but talking to the people out there. Like you mentioned, what do the people in the Grill Park area want? What do they want to see out there? Maybe they just want to see all grass and nothing else. Who knows? Or maybe they have other ideas. I know we have the little baseball diamond out there now. We can't really make it bigger, but maybe they say, let's figure out a way to make it bigger. Or maybe they say, let's just get rid of it. Or maybe they say, don't touch it, leave it just the way it is. But we need to find out, and we need to start making those plans instead of waiting for something to just pop up and say, okay, well, let's go do this. So let's start planning this stuff. So let's identify our parts and move forward with it.
I think that's excellent.
Thanks, Judy.
Also, something that we haven't mentioned, what we haven't mentioned is with the water and the sewage, that we may have an increase in income tax. So we might get more money in, is what I'm saying. We might get more business coming in. So we might be able to pay it off in 7.5 years and have more money.
Sure.
Does anybody else have anything for new business?
Got some new business here, a couple different things. One, thanks, Mr. Cox, for bringing that up there. That's one of the things that I was going to actually talk a little bit about.
That's all your notes.
Because, when we started the whole process of talking about the fortunes out there, one thing I asked for was a 5-year plan for the capital plan for the parks. And we really didn't have a 5-year plan that you could push forward to us. So I'd like to see that tied to the budget as well. I don't know, I haven't seen our budgets here yet, but I know what I'm familiar with is our 5-year capital plans are usually tied to the budget, so you can see the financial path to get to those items. That's the one thing. I forwarded an email to you guys a while back. I talked to Mr. Costa about it earlier today about the resident with the concerns on property on West Reservoir there. I don't know if we can get a few of us together and talk about a resolution on that or some way. I'd just like to have some sort of answer to get back to this resident with.
Sure, yeah, and I referred you to Mr. Cox because he was ground level on that.
We talked about it a little bit.
We did, but
That's not a new issue,
but there's no resolution. I mean, I talked to them.
Well,
so I'd like to have,
I can bring you up to speed on it. We have a resolution. The resolution was we decided not to take any particular action at that point in time.
Okay.
For a variety of reasons. We own the property, but there is a restriction in the deed on that one that it has to be used for park purposes. So if we try to sell it, the question becomes, does the buyer have to use it for park purposes? And arguably yes. And so who's going to do that? It's not fit for park purposes. It's a steep incline that goes down from the lake. There's a dock there. I'm giving you a short form, I guess, that ODNR granted a dock permit for. That's conveniently separated from the land. And so that dock exists there. We've had extensive conversations with the people to the north of what they'd like to see. We can try to get rid of the restriction and sell it, but I'm not sure the neighbors want that, because somebody might buy it just to put docks in and have a bigger problem than they have already. So it's a conundrum, and I'd be happy to sit and I'm open to any ideas or any thoughts that anybody has on it.
We would look at addressing the root of the issue there and the activities going on.
I don't think it's as bad. I'll tell you the truth. We'll find out. I'll check with reports, but we monitored that through the summer. I saw what you said, and they talked about, we didn't get those reports this summer. We had that problem before we stepped in, and we removed one dock, and then we policed it. And at least in talking to the people who live there, they've told me that hasn't been particularly a problem.
How did we remove the dock? I'm curious. If we're in a conundrum and they've got this other
That
dock
was
separated.
attached
Okay.
to our property. So, and it had no license.
Okay.
So
So clean.
yeah, so we got rid of that.
We sent the boats adrift.
One of the things I had listed here was when the new webpage does come out, could we have a utility page on there for all of our utility information? That could be the trash aggregate, that could be any new information on water, sewer, anything about Cape. I think if we just had one splash page that everybody could have a point to go to, I think that'd be helpful. Our conversation about committees, are we want maybe to say something now, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're on these committees. There's 3 committees that each of us are on. And I've been talking to a few different people about what is the actual purpose of them, because by the time we get to our actual council meeting, I read the resolution for the utilities. But I'd like to see us have some more input with us as far as interacting back and forth. And if we get emailed this, say the agenda on a Friday, maybe before the following Wednesday, we try to meet and at least talk about the things that are in our committee and have some more deeper conversation. So we're not doing that here. We already worked out those details and get that stuff figured out. One of the other items I had here is I'm thinking about trying to do like an open forum where I could meet with, maybe like on a Saturday or something. I'll be at this place. If residents want to show up, you can talk about whatever you want. But just some way to be more accessible to the public. I know not everybody can make it here on a Wednesday night.
I got a place you can have open all.
So I'll have more information on that as we get closer. It's probably going to be sometime in April. And then the last thing, looking for a little guidance from the mayor on this. The early alert systems, I've looked into that. The FEMA has a EMPG grant that is like an early warning type, or it's emergency management plan grant, and also the USDA has some grants that they'd be able to give out for rural type areas. I'm going to get a little more information on that, and then I don't know if you want me to, how much you want me to do, or you want me to hand it off to somebody.
Hey, as much as you want to do, he's fine with us. That sounds to me, though I think the first step is going to try to get some cost assessment.
Right, and I've already contacted the company that we had kind of worked through. Got her contact information. Like I said, as far as moving forward, I don't want to go too far outstep my bounds, but I can go as far as you guys want.
No, I don't feel any bounds in that sense, Mr. Powell, at all. I'm open to, I'm not trying to pass a buck, or somebody wants to grab something and run with it, bring it to our attention. And that's happened before. Issues with the Airbnbs and so on, which is still floating around. So, there's a precedent for that. So if you've got the time and energy to look into it, by the same token, we want to support that inquiry. And I did, and it's still on my desk. I just haven't been able to follow up on it yet. We gave that a hard look a number of years ago, and the cost was exorbitant because of the geography out there. We were able to cover a fair amount of the residential area, but from memory, I'm going to say like 60%. We could have really good coverage, but then we had 40% that weren't going to hear the siren. And then that 40% was helping to pay for the sirens that the 60% we're going to hear, and that's why that one didn't fly. But I know it's just a matter now trying to find the history on that. If somebody has a file on that, I've looked at my own and I haven't found it yet, but I'm going to dig through what we have here. So I'll keep trying to chase down what we had initially. But by the same, it's probably a lot easier now with GPS and everything. That somebody can come in here and give us an idea on that. So. No, I'm looking at it.
For people that's not aware of it, that's like an early alert system, like a tornado type siren system in the community. So I just have to rely on outside communities to hear their stuff. That's all I have.
Does anyone else have anything else?
Well, I have one quick question, and I didn't read the sign, but coming up Main Street, Green puts their big signs up when they're doing a zoning review. There's a sign on Main Street, southwest corner in Franklin, it's across the street, it's on the green side, obviously. Does anybody know what that is?
Where?
On Main Street, south of Nimisila, actually, it might even be south of Common. Way down the corner, it's across the street, there's an empty piece of land that they've got up for zoning. I was just curious if anybody.
Is that it? Does anybody have any public comments?
Regarding the tennis pickleball complex, I assume that we all have been to other tennis complexes in neighboring communities where we've seen the surface deteriorate very quickly in a year or two. And that was because the construction wasn't done correctly. So I'm assuming that you will have an engineer look at the construction drawings and make sure that that doesn't happen to what we construct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a comment? Yes,
Patrick Smith, State Road. I have two comments and two questions. First comment is, in the previous election, there was a lot of discussion about educating the constituents of the community, right? So there was, a lot of frustration that was expressed that, not being informed, right? That was a big feeling that was discussed. So, I hear this, 5 days ago, there was a huge uplift in support for the pickleball courts. I mean, that's great, but I don't have a dog in the fight either way. But what that tells me is there's a lot of progress that needs to be made on the communication front. My second comment is in regards to the 5-year plan. I think a 3, 5, and 10-year plan should be required for every department that has a budget. These are best practices. Not only should they be required, they should be published on the city website. And those are things that will also help spread the knowledge to people in our community. So the first question is, did I hear correctly that in the deed for the pickleball location, that there is a restriction that says that if any type of structure is built, that the property will be remanded back to the school?
No, it's if we don't build the courts.
No, that was in the agreement that you had, but I was asking specifically about the deed.
I'm going to say there's no such restriction. I haven't, I don't know if I have the deed in front of me. But the short answer is no. That would be contrary to the whole purpose. So,
And if there was a restriction, it would be contradictory to the agreement, and the agreement would proceed that the school would basically have to fix their mistake.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, because that's sure what it sounded like to me. Maybe I didn't pay good enough attention, but it sounded like, there's a contradiction in the agreement that you have, the purchase agreement, versus the deed. And, that's something that, if that's the case, that absolutely needs to be settled before, hundreds of thousands of dollars are put into, an investment.
I'll look at it.
From what I was told, it would need to be redeeded to take that clause out, because the clause is in there that says the grantee by its acceptance of this deed, reason no building or any other structure, whether permanent or temporary, shall be built, placed, or located on the property. I mean, that's very true. It's a complete contradiction to what the written agreement of the school district says.
Well, it could be building. And that's a structure. I'll take a look. And I'll have the attorneys look at it.
Yeah, well, so we have two legal documents. We have a legal purchase agreement, and we have a legal deed, right? And they're not in agreement with each other.
I don't know if they are or aren't. I haven't studied the deed yet, but I will.
Okay. So my second question then is about lighting. Did I hear that there's going to be lighting at the pickleball tennis place?
It was part of the bidding process, but at this time it's not included in the project.
Okay, cool. That's all I had. Thanks.
Sir, Kelly did not get your name
I did Patrick Smith's
Did
statement.
you? Okay,
Mr.
thank
Potts
you.
helps me out on that one.
Anybody else have a comment?
I do want to say, we do have 5-year plans, capital plans for each department. And the idea of getting them on the website, and I think that's a good idea. Our budget meetings are going to start mid-February, and that's when we update those. The one for the parks, it does exist, but it needs a lot of revision because the major capital projects that were included on there consisted of the Sisler Pavilion and then significant improvements over the Tattoo House. And since that's changed within the last 12 months, we need to update that, we will.
Does anyone else have anything? And Paul, I'm assuming we do not have a need for executive session?
There is none.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Our next meeting is going to be February